Let me ask you something, Will. I need to know how you feel about this. This was a thing that was quietly going on that I had no awareness of. Samsung has been in development of a branded TV show happening on Hulu. Now, the name of the show is Exposure.
Okay. Is it, what kind of show is it?
It's a photography competition. Okay. It's a
Okay.
Let me do something for you.
Yeah.
Exposure is a photography competition. In photography, you have an exposure. In photography, in a competition, you're an up-and-coming photographer who needs exposure. If you're a brand that's paying to produce a show made for eyeballs, you're looking for exposure.
Yeah.
This little preview right here makes the show look actually pretty cool. There's not a ton of like overbearing Samsung stuff. It could change when the show actually comes out. We just have the preview right now.
Really? What's this phone then?
But here's the catch. Here's the catch. For the brand that's producing a show that needs the exposure, the key characteristic of the competition is you can use whatever you want for these photos that will be graded by a set of judges and voting and all the rest of it. All kinds of access to materials and models or whatever.
Okay.
You got to shoot it on a Galaxy S21 Ultra.
Oh, there it is. What?
Hang on, man. Hang on. It's kind of a fun challenge. You're not happy.
Well, let me guess. Does Samsung win in this competition here?
What do you mean?
The phone.
No, every contestant has to use the phone.
Yeah, so that means Samsung just wins overall. There's no like figuring out other phones and, testing different UIs and software.
But that's not the purpose of the content. The content.
Are you sure?
What do you mean? The purpose of the content, right, is here are the tools that are available to you.
Okay.
Right? Equal playing field. What can you produce given those tools? The tools here are not really that important other than the fact that they're equivalent across the board. Everybody here could shoot a better photo with their pro camera gear.
Sure.
The reason that it's a little bit more fun is it's a photography competition, but it has to happen off a smartphone, which is the way in which a lot of the majority of the world is taking photos.
I see. Are you going to tune into this? Who's going to tune into this? I just feel like
it's like a contest show, right? It's like how you have those cooking shows and like people get voted off.
Yeah. That's what makes it confusing though, because like they're not using the same equipment, right?
What do you mean?
Like the chefs, they bring their own equipment, right?
On a cooking show?
Yeah.
No. I don't believe so. I think they all got to work in the same kitchen. Yeah,
but
they will have
like,
different
the same
stations.
Pots and like, don't they bring like
No.
their own utensils?
No.
No?
No, and the ingredients are set. There's always rules to make it so that you're dealing with the same challenges.
Oh, okay.
I presume that the way this will break down in the shows, they'll be like, okay, you get to use a model and you get to use these props and you get to use this lighting equipment and like, let's see what you can do. Because then it really presses on the creativity.
Right.
Now, look, I'm trying to sell you the show right now. I mean, my intent was not to sell you the show. My intent was to showcase an unusual interaction for a sponsored piece of content where it's loosely around the S20 Ultra. If you watch the preview, you'll see it's not the core of the challenge. Like none of the photographers, at least in this, are saying, oh, I really love the S20 Ultra because it allows me to do X, Y, Z. They're saying, I need this. I've been trying to make it as a professional photographer. I could really use this money because there's a bunch of prize money as well. It's a very personal thing.
Well, if it's personal, why don't they just let them use their own phones?
Because the challenge is like, it's like Iron Chef. It's like, you got to cook. Here's a challenge. You got to cook
Sure,
with
but
clams today. And the chef is like, oh, is that in your repertoire? Can you do that? In this case, it's like, you got to figure out how to do the best work on our hardware. Figure it out. That's the fun part. If they could use whatever they want, there's nobody watching.
no, I'm just saying like the standard is just a smartphone that they're used to. But you're saying if you want to,
Well, who's going to pay to produce that?
Ground.
Who's going to pay to produce that?
Yeah, I mean,
And also, yes, I do agree with that. I like the equal playing ground. I like the idea. Now,
like if the base is just smartphones in general,
should
and not
they
specific?
maybe
to
they
a
should all have a
brand.
certain amount of time to use the thing to become familiar with it. If you have one photographer who's been shooting on,
Sure, yeah,
but the parameters of photography are equivalent across the board. Once you're aware of how to use the manual features on a camera, if you're in an S21 Ultra, it works the same. I mean, you can control f-stop and you can control shutter speed. You can do a lot of manual functionality inside of the phone.
sure.
And they're going to get graded based on creativity around how they use the tool.
Yeah.
It's like you give everybody a hammer and you're like, make a piece of art.
Mm-hmm.
It really stresses the creativity because you can't lean on your comfort level, which is like, oh, here's all my equipment
Right.
that I'm used to.
Okay. Well, I'm curious about it. You got me peaked.
No, I didn't. Complete failure. No, I'm in
Are
this.
you gonna watch it?
I'm in this business and I'm in this game. And so I see all these types of interactions and I like the creativity around trying to figure out ways to integrate the stuff that actually feels valuable or interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not easy to do it. And these guys get around in boardrooms and they come up with terrible ideas that are just so brutal.
Yeah.
That when I see something that's even marginally interesting, I'm like, maybe you touched on something here. Maybe there's some merit to that brainstorming that took place. Now, it all comes down to when the show comes out, if it's too heavy-handed, if it's nuanced and you don't overdo it, and it is just about exposure and just whatever, side shots happen to pick up that logo, but it's all about the characters and it's all about the challenge, you might have something cool.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. But if they're shooting like a commercial, like with the whole thing, it's I don't know. I feel like there's like a under.
It's a very fine line.
lying-
It's a very fine line how to do it.
Yeah.
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 But at the end of the day, all these contestants, the prize money and the exposure, that's a big deal for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal for whatever they're trying to do.